It's time for NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. The latest from around the Wenatchee Valley and North Central Washington with Steve Hare, Cody Johnson, and sports with Eric Granstrom.
Well, good evening and welcome to NCW Life News for a Thursday. I'm Steve Hare. Here are the stories we're following for you tonight. An update on the 2 deaths near Lake Wenatchee. Also, firefighters subdued a small wildfire on Tumwater Mountain. Also, a new fine is issued for litter related to tobacco. And a 22-year-old Bridgeport man faces jail time after pleading guilty to second-degree vehicular manslaughter last month. Later on, we'll have sports with Eric Granstrom and your weather forecast with Dan Coons. But first, here's our top story. Chelan County Coroner's Office has released the identity of one of the 2 bodies discovered 2 weeks ago in a pickup truck near Lake Wenatchee. Wayne Harris said the identity of 24-year-old Sarah Ann Pischke of Humble, Texas, was made using dental records. Pischke was found inside the partially hidden truck on Chewacum Creek Road within an adult male inside. Harris said the state crime lab is working on fingerprints to make a positive ID on the male victim. He said it's still a mystery as to how the couple died. He says an autopsy ruled out foul play, but is inconclusive. He said the female's family had no explanation for why she was in Washington State and that she had no known connection to this area. Also, firefighters have subdued a small wildfire that was sparked by Tuesday's thunderstorm on Tumwater Mountain near Leavenworth. Robin Amario with the U.S. Forest Service said 4 firefighters who rappelled into the area on Wednesday have completed a line around the quarter-acre burn.
They're looking good, and conditions are pretty good right now, but it's just a good reminder to folks that fire season is here. So when they are out recreating, to be especially careful with fire, and that will be continuing on through the remainder of the summer.
Meanwhile, tomorrow said it's possible there could be additional fire starts from our recent thunderstorms.
It's not uncommon to have what we call holdover fires. Those are little fires that smolder, stay low, and are not really visible until conditions are such that it's hotter and drier and more smoke is then visible to our aerial detection.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Forest Service predicts a fairly normal start to our wildfire season in north central Washington. However, in July and August, longer-range projections suggest warmer and drier than typical weather coming to our area. And as conditions continue to dry out across the state, the danger of fires caused by individuals discarding lit tobacco products or other lit material from their vehicles increases. One careless action can quickly turn into a major fire. The resources needed to fight the fires and the losses associated with them, such as homes, structures, and even life, are extremely expensive and costly to taxpayers. Washington State Patrol will take appropriate enforcement under the law for those who discard a lit tobacco product or other lit material. It's a Class 1 civil infraction for a person to discard, in violation of that law, potentially dangerous litter in any amount. A 22-year-old Bridgeport man faces between 31 and 41 months in jail during sentencing hearing today after pleading guilty to second-degree vehicular manslaughter last month. Giovanni Lopez Maciel also pleaded guilty to malicious mischief in the hit-and-run accident that killed 50-year-old Brewster teacher Gary Lee Knowlton. Lopez pickup hit Knowlton, who was riding his bicycle on Apple Acres Road north of Chelan on July 16th. Lopez fled the scene and then turned himself in 2 months later. Lopez was originally charged with vehicular homicide and hit and run before reaching a plea deal, which was approved by Superior Court Judge Alicia Nakata. Coming up, we'll take a look at the Apple Capital Swim Meet coming up this weekend in Wenatchee. Also, a local assistant principal receives a statewide award, and North Central Regional Library kicks off its annual summer reading program. I'm Steve Hare. You're watching NCW Life News.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life community calendar at ncwlife.com.
Welcome back to NCW Life News. One of the largest sporting events of the year kicks off this weekend at Wenatchee's Pioneer Park. The Apple Capital Swim Meet is hosted by the Velocity Swim Club. It brings in hundreds of competitors from around the Northwest. But the three-day event is also a big economic development tool, according to Matt Carney with the Wenatchee Sports Council.
It's the biggest swim meet in the area, and it's also, I would say, well, for sure, one of the top 10 events in the Wenatchee Valley in terms of sports tourism every year. So it's up there big, and it's kind of neat when you have something like swimming that moves into those notches. So
How many swimmers?
over 700. Yeah,
that's a lot of swimmers.
Yeah, and a vast majority of those are from outside the area. So swim teams from all over the Pacific Northwest come in. It's a big meet, and it's recognized in the swimming world very definitely as one that you don't want to miss.
And when swimmers come, families come too. It's
They
not just
do.
the swimmers, yeah.
Yeah, and that makes it nice too. I mean, even though, like you say, there's tents all over the park and that type of thing. When we track the economic impact of it, it's way up there.
Indeed, Carney said the swim meet generates over $200,000 alone in sales tax revenue. Ricardo Iniquez is the Washington State 2017 Assistant Principal of the Year. For Washington State, the award is given by the Association of Secondary School Principals, a governing board of the Association of Washington School Principals. Iniquez was selected after a statewide open nomination process. He said he wants to be a role model for all students, but most importantly, the Latino population. Said he feels there aren't many Latino role models in education, specifically in administrative roles. Iniquez will be honored for this accomplishment at the June 2017 Summer Conference in Spokane and recognized nationally at the 2017 National Principals Conference in Philadelphia with the other state assistant principals of the year. North Central Regional Library kicks off its annual summer reading program this month to encourage children to read while they're out of school for the summer months. 30 libraries in Chelan, Douglas, Grant, Okanagan, and Ferry counties offering a full lineup of fun and free activities for children. The goal of the summer program is to encourage reading through the summer months. That's when kids tend to lose some of the progress they made during the school year. Prizes for reading range from toys for small achievements to book sets, electronics, and entertainment passes for logging the most hours. Children can sign up for the reading program at their local branch libraries starting around the second week of June. Last year, the North Central Regional Library readers collectively tallied more than 92,000 hours of reading during the summer. You're watching NCW Live News. Coming up next, we have Eric Granstrom with our sports report, and our feature today comes out of the Eastmont School District as students ready for graduation tomorrow night.
Get the fastest internet available in North Central Washington by switching to LocalTel and get speeds up to 1,000 meg. Call 888-8888 today or go online to localtel.net.
And now it's a sports update on the NCW Life channel.
And a good Thursday evening to you. The return of James Paxton and a revived offensive attack provided another shot in the arm for the Mariners on Wednesday night as they won their fourth straight game with a 5-0 decision over the Colorado Rockies after totaling just 9 runs in 8 previous games. Seattle's outscored its last 4 foes 26-9. Danny Valencia's 2-run double and a pair of key hits from Mike Zunino paved the way last night. The Mariners improved to 25-29 as they kicked off an 11-game homestand at Safeco Field, where they are now 14-9 on the season. Paxton threw 5 1/3 scoreless innings in his first game since May 2nd due to a strained forearm. The 28-year-old southpaw allowed just 3 hits and no walks and 6 strikeouts in a 74-pitch outing to improve to 4-0 on the season. His ERA now 1.26. Seattle manager Scott Service echoed all Mariner fans by saying he's glad to see Paxton back on the mound.
Can't say enough what it means to have Paxton back. Gave us more tonight than I think we expected coming into this, having not pitched in a little over a month or right around there. And at this level, it was awesome. I think I looked up on the board one time, like the first 15 hitters he faced, it was 13 first pitch strikes. The command of the curveball, putting guys away with it, and went to the slider, the cutter later on. Very, very impressive. He has been, obviously before he got hurt, you could just see a different guy out there and how confidence was growing, and he's turned into like a top of the rotation stud, and it's great for our club. I think everybody felt it tonight when he took the mound. Dominant starting pitching does so much for your team. and it just lifts everybody's spirits. You know, the guys offensively relax, they have good at-bats, and we did enough offensively. You know, a couple good innings put together against a very good young starter that they have. A really good fastball, and our guys hung in there, and you know, big 3-run you know, inning early on, and then the add-on runs were really, really big. So nice win. We got a nice little streak going now. We're building some momentum, and it's good. That's a very good offensive team. You know, the Rockies can really swing the bats, and we've done a pretty good job. Our bullpen again tonight, outstanding. You know, so everybody's chipping in, and it's really what it takes when you put a streak together.
Mike Zunino went 2 for 3 with an RBI double and has doubled in 3 straight games. In fact, he has 3 consecutive multi-hit games for the first time in his career. Service says that's all about the work behind the scenes that Zunino's putting together to get better at the plate.
You know, we talked. You know, I talked to him over in Boston. He wasn't getting the results he was looking for. But you got to stick with it. This is a process. He's doing a lot of different things up there, and how he's trying to approach his at bats and mechanically. And it's, you know, the early work's good, the BP's good, and it's not carrying over to the game. Sometimes you want to switch, and this isn't going to work. And just told him over in Boston, stick with it. And you know, it is a process. You're going to constantly make adjustments. So really happy for him, because he's you know, it's tough. It's tough when you're struggling like that and you're letting team down, yourself down. So getting him going in the right direction certainly makes a big boost for the bottom of our lineup.
It was a businessman special against Colorado to wrap up that home-and-home series today at Safeco Field. We'll have the results tomorrow morning right here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Also in the American League West on Wednesday, Houston pounded Minnesota 17-6. It was Oakland getting by Cleveland 3-1. In 10 innings, Tampa Bay topped Texas 7-5, and the Angels beat Atlanta by a final of 2-1. Justin Meram and Ola Kamara each scored their 8th goal of the season, and the Columbus Crew beat the reserve-laden Seattle Sounders 3-0 last night at the Montfrey Stadium. Columbia snapped a 2-game losing streak while Seattle had its 2-game winning streak stopped. Sounders now 4-6-4 on the season, host the Houston Dynamo. That'll be Saturday at Central Lake Field. Also today, the day for the Washington women's softball team in the NCAA College World Series. The 6th-seeded Huskies face the 3rd-seeded Ducks at Oklahoma City. Washington comes in with a record of 48-12, while Oregon is 52-6. The Dogs took 2 of 3 from the Ducks during the regular season in April. That game was earlier on ESPN2. The Seattle Seahawks made some roster moves over the second day of OTAs in Redmond yesterday. Seattle waived wide receiver Speedy Noyle and running back Troy Maine Pope, and signed free safety Marcus Cromartie and strong safety Jordan Simone. Cromartie comes to the Seahawks after a 3-year stint in San Francisco as a backup. The media will finally get a look at the 2017 Seahawks during OTAs coming up tomorrow. Well, no longer at ESPN. John Clayton confirmed yesterday that he will no longer be working for the Sports Network. Earlier in May, the network laid off a ton of journalists and personalities in TV and radio, which we find now also includes Clayton. The 63-year-old is a former writer for the Tacoma News-Tribune and became known as the Professor after working at ESPN. Clayton tweeted yesterday, "I guess you saw the news. After 23 years, I won't be contributing to ESPN. 2 words, thank you. My bosses and coworkers are the best." He'll still host his radio show on 710 in Seattle. That's a look at sports news on the NCW Life channel. Steve, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Eric. Our feature today comes from the Eastmont School District as they honored their senior and kindergarten graduates. Well, that's how it looked yesterday at Cascade Elementary School in the Eastmont School District for senior and kinder walks. It's a nationwide event that's being mirrored across the country. Tomorrow, Friday, it's Wenatchee School District seniors' chance to walk through the halls of some of the elementary schools here. We'll be right back in just a moment with a recap of today's top stories and your weather forecast for North Central Washington.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life Community Calendar at ncwlife.com.
Welcome back to our Thursday edition of NCW Life News. Our top stories today: the Chelan County Coroner's Office released the identity of one of the two bodies discovered 2 weeks ago in a pickup truck near Lake Wenatchee. Wayne Harris said the identity of 24-year-old Sarah Ann Pischke of Humboldt, Texas was made using dental records. Pischke was found inside the partially hidden truck on Chewacum Creek Road with an adult male in the front seat next to her. Harris said the state crime lab is working on fingerprints to make a positive ID on the male. Said it's still a mystery, though, as to how the couple died. Says an autopsy was inconclusive. It did rule out foul play. Said the female's family had no explanation for why she was in Washington State and that she had no known connection to this area. Also, firefighters have subdued a small wildfire that was sparked by Tuesday's thunderstorm on Tumwater Mountain near Leavenworth. Robin DeMario with the U.S. Forest Service said 4 firefighters who rappelled into the area on Wednesday have completed a fire line around the quarter-acre blaze.
They're looking good, and conditions are pretty good right now, but it's just a good reminder to folks that fire season is here. So when they are out recreating, to be especially careful with fire, and that will be continuing on through the remainder of the summer.
DeMario added that it's possible there could be additional fire starts from the recent thunderstorm activity.
Not uncommon to have what we call holdover fires. Those are little fires that smolder, stay low, and are not really visible until conditions are such that it's hotter and drier and more smoke is then visible to our aerial detection.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Forest Service predicts a normal start to our wildfire season in north central Washington. However, in July and August, longer range projections suggest warmer and drier than typical weather coming to our area. And as conditions continue to dry out across the state, the danger of fires caused by individuals discarding lit tobacco products or other materials from their vehicles increase. One careless action can quickly turn into a major fire. Resources needed to fight those fires and the losses associated with them, such as homes, structures, and even life, are extremely expensive and costly to the taxpayers. Washington State Patrol will take appropriate enforcement under the new law for those who discard a lit tobacco product. It's a Class 1 civil infraction for a person to discard in violation of that law potentially dangerous litter in any amount. Also today, a 22-year-old Bridgeport man facing between 31 and 41 months in jail during sentencing after pleading guilty to second-degree vehicular manslaughter last month. Giovanni Lopez Maciel also pleaded guilty to malicious mischief in the hit-and-run accident that killed 50-year-old Brewster teacher Gary Lee Knowlton. Lopez's pickup struck Knowlton. He was riding his bicycle on Apple Acres Road north of Chelan back on July 16th. Lopez fled the scene and then turned himself in 2 months later. Lopez was originally charged with vehicular homicide and hit and run before reaching a plea deal, which was approved by Superior Court Judge Alicia Nakata. Turning now to our weather forecast, here's Dan Kuntz with that.
The remnants of the wet weather that brought us light rain and some fairly significant cloud cover today is already beginning to exit the region. High pressure is going to build up, and that means a nice, pleasant, if somewhat cool Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the Wenatchee Valley. Partly cloudy skies expected tonight, 55 for the overnight low. A little windy. Wind out of the northwest about 6 to 13 miles an hour. Friday, as high pressure really begins to assert itself, it looks really good. How about sunshine Friday and a high of 77? That's just about normal. Friday night, mostly clear, 53 for the overnight low. Saturday, lots of sunshine and a high near 80. On Saturday night, the high pressure ridge will begin to break down. That's going to allow clouds to pay us a visit. So mostly cloudy skies Saturday night and an overnight low of about 54. We wrap up the weekend Sunday under partly sunny skies and a high near 76, and then sunny and a little cooler cooler than normal on Monday. For the most part, very pleasant mid-spring weather for most of north central Washington. And that's your forecast on the NCW Life channel.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful afternoon tomorrow at the Apple Bowl for the Wenatchee High School senior graduation. And now for our feature video of the day. Here's one way to get around the traffic congestion on North Wenatchee Avenue. And again, that's our video of the day. Thanks to Ray McNeil, host of NCW Life's Tech Talk, for sharing that with us. That'll do it for now in our program. For more on these stories and other news from around north central Washington, you can always find us on Facebook or on our website at ncwlife.com. Don't forget, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can email us at news@ncwlife.com, or you can send us your news tips by calling 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. I'm Steve Hare. Have a good night.
This has been NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. For more news, log on to ncwlife.com, like us on Facebook, and follow NCW Life channel on Twitter.
Get the fastest internet available in north central Washington by switching to LocalTel and get speeds up to 1,000 meg. Call 888-8888 today or go online to localtel.net.